Well, John, you're the only one here, so I'm going to wait and see if Clayton joins us. I'm going to give him a couple minutes here.
Mr. Scott.
Yeah.
So what I was saying yesterday about my GitHub is that I wasn't trying to make a new repository. Is I was actually just trying to put in my regular AWD one. But when I put my folder inside my repo, it and I go to put it onto GitHub, it just like there's no files in the folder, is what it's reading.
And what I got back to you with was, um, are you copying that line over for your remote origin?
No, I use the GitHub desktop, and
Okay.
because normally whenever you put your, cause I put it all, I make all my folders on my desktop and then drag it over into the repo whenever I go to turn it in, and then I just open GitHub desktop and it pulls up the folder, but there should be like all the files in there that
Right.
comes down, but
Right.
there's
Well,
nothing. It's
and
just one.
again, what I guess I'll do is I will Google, and we can just do it right
Hmm.
now. But unable to deploy my React app. Well, let's see. That's GitHub Pages. It's GitHub Pages. I don't know, and I'm not uploading a React app to GitHub using GitHub Pages. Well, that's from Reddit, but using GitHub Desktop. You already should have a git ignore in there, so that shouldn't be an issue. I don't know. I will look at it, and I guess I didn't understand what you did just because I don't use GitHub Desktop. All right. I just use regular GitHub, and I have never had a problem doing that before. All right. What I want to do real quickly while you're watching here is I'm going to go back. I'm going to grab what I've got so far. I'm not even going to make it. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it private, but I've got this React Movie app right here. That's the one we've been working on. So I'm going to come in here and go into GitHub. I just want to see if it works the way I do it. So let's see. So again, what I always do is I come in here, I create a new repo. Probably you do the same thing. For some reason, it makes me select the owner, and that's me. There it is. I've got that. I'm going to make it private because it's got the code in it. But and I'm going to create the repository. All right, that's all done. Then I grab this line that's right here, copy that to the clipboard. Let's see. Come back into here, right mouse click, do my git bash here. There already is a git folder, so I don't have to do anything with that. I shouldn't have to, but I'm going to paste that in. So it's got the remote of where it's supposed to go, and then I can check it with a git remote -v. And that looks like it's correct. So clear. So I'll do my git add dot, my git commit -m, test for React movie app. Do my git push minus U origin master. Okay, it's doing something. So let me jump back here then. Refresh. And it looks like at least my stuff is in here. Yeah, it's all in there. And that's all in there. So I don't know if it's something that's peculiar to GitHub desktop. All right. But you saw the steps I just went through, right?
Yeah, correct.
I mean, you can try that and see if you can get that to work.
Okay.
You should still be able to do that right from your desktop. Again, just go into GitHub. You may have your repo already, but if you've got that line with the origin in there, you got to make sure that that's set. And then just do your git add dot, your git commit, which you maybe have already done, and then just try to push it and see if it works. All right. I don't know. I mean, I know that last semester or last spring, one of my students, and I can get a hold of him if you want to, or try to, who graduated, Gabriel, he was using GitHub desktop. But I'll be more than happy to try to email him and otherwise and see if there was anything special he had to do. He never said he had a problem with it. So I guess I just took for granted that it worked okay for him. But at least for the interim, what I just did would be something you could do.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and try it here in a little bit.
All right. Because it sounded like I got the email from you and I got one from Clayton, and they were very similar. All right. So I don't know what the problem is. And speaking of problems, we're going to go over the program today, but for whatever reason, I'm going to give you all my code. But where are we here? So we're going to go over this right now. But when I bring it up, this was something else I was trying. So, and I go to localhost 300, I get no output. I don't know why. All right.
That's what was happening in my BMI React app. Is that
Okay.
I had all the code in there, but nothing comes up.
Okay. And I mean, there's different things that it could be. All right. And what I mean is, um, again, I'd have to see some of your internal files. Did you ever push that out to GitHub?
No, just it's also not recognizing it as well, and it's too big
Okay.
to email. So
Okay. Well, one thing you could do on that, and I don't know if this would work or not, but as far as trying to get it to me, I haven't even used this in a couple years, but I had a Dropbox account. I don't know if you've got one of those or not, but with Dropbox, it basically there's a free version of it and you can copy almost anything you want of any size. You could try setting up a Dropbox account and putting it out there. Otherwise I don't know how you're going to get it to me. I'm just trying to figure out how we can do that. I am going to be tomorrow. I'm going to be at the Wentzville campus. I don't know if you live out that way or if you live out in St. Louis, but I'd be happy if you want to try to bring it in. We can take a look at it. It's just something to keep in mind. But if you do that, there's two buildings. The one I normally teach out of is the Taylor Center, but they don't have a classroom for me. That's one of the reasons that I'm doing this online. And there's a thing there called the Larry Elms Training Center. There's a building with that on it. That's where I'll be tomorrow. And we have a shadow of tech tomorrow. So I'm going in there tomorrow morning and I'm a lecturer in there in my morning class and there'll be a guy watching me. But in the afternoon, it was just scheduled to be a lab for you guys. So I don't know what the problem is with that because I've been able to bring in other stuff and I even went in on mine And just to be sure, I came in here, it says that it compiled successfully, and yours probably did too then, but I even did my npx kill minus port 3000 to make sure nothing's running on there. And there isn't anything, but again, npm start, it doesn't show me that there's any errors or anything. It just runs through that, boom. Yeah. And I don't know what the problem is. I really don't. So I'm going to, when we get done today, I'm going to be going and Googling and looking online. And I'm also, I mean, again, my weather one worked. And I don't see anything that I've done differently in here as opposed to what I did with the weather app. But I'll go back and I'll check the internal files and some other stuff. And if I find out anything, I'll let everybody know. All right. I mean, that's not a great solution, but that's the best thing I can come up with for right now. All right. Now, I still haven't finished writing this, but I will. And just to show you this, as I promised I was going to give it to you guys. And I've got here your second assignment, and this is what I'm going to ask that you do. There may be a little bit added to it. I don't know. But it says complete the React weather app, adding your own CSS design, styling, etc., and make sure it works. Then I want you to make a copy of the whole folder and change it so that instead of using a functional component, it uses a class component. Shouldn't be much work, and that's why I only made it worth 10 points. Then I want you to do the same thing for the React movie app. All right. We're going to hopefully do another smaller project on Monday, and I want to try to add that one to the homework. But I haven't totally written that one yet. That's why I didn't want to put this out there. So the idea is between Monday and Tuesday of next week, we're going to be done with just the React stuff. So starting Wednesday of next week, so a week from today, I guess, we'll have 2 days next week, Wednesday and Thursday, and then the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of the following week to begin the MERN project. All right, so that's 5 days. Then we'll have the week of the 28th, so 28th, 29th, 30th, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, the week of the 5th. All right, and then we'll have the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of the next week. So that's 18 days that we'll have to work on this. You'll still have your Fridays as lab, and the last day we meet is a Thursday, so I'm going to make that a lab as well. All right, so that's the plan. But like I said, I'm not going to give this to you guys until I get everything I've got working. Hopefully that made a little bit of sense. So let's start by me telling you, let's see, let me bring the project up. First thing I'd like you to do, if you would please, is to bring up the index.js file. All right. And there are some things in there, they're not errors, but you're going to have different code in here than I have. All right. And the reason you're going to have different code is when I showed this to you before, what we put in here was browser router and switch and route. I forgot that when they went from React Router, which is what we're using here, version 5, to React Router version 6, that they changed some of the wordage. So you don't use switch in here anymore. You use the word routes, and you don't use the word component in here anymore. You use the word element. So I'm going to leave that up there, but I'd like you to take a look at what's there. So I've got two files in here. Then we're going to go over both of them. I've got a movie list.js file and a movie details.js file. We're going to look at both of those after we get done with this. So we've got our 6 imports at the top. And again, as I mentioned to you, I think yesterday, these 3 imports are importing third-party libraries, React, React DOM, and React Router DOM. All right. These next 2 are importing our local JS files. Probably what I should have done is put them in a folder called components. It's fine the way it is. All right. And then this is grabbing the CSS file for index. All right. So hopefully you can see that you've got, and hopefully if if you need to, you've had time to make sure that these six, you've got them on in your file right now. So I'm going to move down then to line 8. So that's up at the top because that's the rest of it. So again, what changed is this is no longer switch, it's now routes. This is no longer component, it's now element. All right. And I can't explain to you why they make some of the changes they make. It just as time goes on, occasionally they make changes. I guess they figured that routes was more similar to route than switch, that maybe that was confusing. I don't know. But it's not that it's good to know, but it's interesting to note that you weren't getting any output on that, and neither am I. All right. Because I don't think there's anything wrong with my program, which says to me that either in my package.json, there's an old version of something, or I'm missing some kind of an install. But I'm thinking if I was missing an install, that I would be getting some kind of an error, and I'm not getting any error. I'm not even getting any warnings. All right, it's telling me that it's compiling cleanly. It's just not showing anything. So like I said, I'll try to track that down. So have you had time to update yours so it looks like this?
Yeah, I had time.
All right. Now, and I think you know this already, that this just basically says when right here, when we're going out to HTT or to localhost 3000, we want to show everything. And when we go out there and we give it an ID, we only want to show one. All right. And again, that hopefully at least makes sense. Now, I went and dug through the movie list that I created yesterday, and I made some changes to it. All right. First, let me ask you, were you able to get an API key?
I was, yeah.
Good. All right. So this is what I've got in there right now. And we went over most of this yesterday, but we're bringing in again from React the use state and the use effect. And we want to make sure we bring in navlink because we want the equivalent of a button almost underneath. Um, it's going to be really a link. And we want to put that underneath the movie poster that's going to come up, and that's going to say details. All right. So here were our state variables. And again, you might have had those from yesterday. All right. The search term, the movies and the set movies, and the movie not found. And again, so you can tell hopefully by looking at it, that's a string, that's an array, and that's a Boolean. Shouldn't be anything new there. All right. Again, we're using local storage. And when you use local storage, I alluded to this yesterday, that when you are using local storage, that there is a get item and a set item amongst other things that are in there. All right. In the use effect, we're using the get item to, as it says, grab that movie name. We want to get it. It's been put into local storage. Where was that done? Down here. So in fetch movies, all right, we're making sure that it's set. And basically what we're doing here then, if that's at all confusing, is we're grabbing the term that we want to put into that text box, and we're either putting it into local storage or it's been put in there already and we're getting it from local storage. All right. And hopefully all that makes sense. All right. MN is just the movie name. We could call that anything we wanted. So if there was something in local storage, we're calling fetch movies. Now I added this yesterday. Some of the stuff that you work on in here, and I don't mean you, I mean that anybody works on in here. All right. Sometimes quirky things happen. All right. And use effect can work differently depending upon whether or not you pass an optional parameter to it or you do not. So all we're passing to it is we're saying, hey, when you're working on this to begin with, there's nothing in there. All right. And that's basically that thing. So I added that yesterday, and then I put the comment here so I wouldn't forget, hopefully, to tell you about it. All right. All right. So that is the use effect is right here. That whole thing is the use effect. All right. Then what was next was the fetch movies, which is pretty much the biggest thing that's in here. All right. And I just changed the name. For some reason, I had them both in here as URL, which could be confusing. So I call this is the list URL. And what you'll see in the other one, I just call the other one details URL. All right. So my list URL, as you can see, it's set up like this. So again, everything that you normally see in here. Then our search is going to be the movie name. And of course, you have to add your own API key in there. And again, hopefully at least, that makes at least some sense. All right. Then as it says, we're placing the, or putting the movie name into local storage there. All right. With the set item. All right. Then we're attempting to go out and actually search the API for that movie. All right. And that's what's done in here. And again, we did that using a fetch. And I'm going to ask that you try to go back and redo that bit of code and redo it using Axios. All right. And I haven't tried it yet. Why? Because I haven't gotten output, but I'm going to do it and see if it's as little bit of code as I think it's going to be. All right. Basically, it's just going to be, you're going to change the stuff that's in here. Not much, but a little bit. All right. And that way, ideally, what you're going to have when you get done is you are going to have a weather app that's going to be written twice, once as a functional component, once as a class component, and both of those will use Axios. And you'll also have a movie app that will once be written as a functional component or with components, rewritten again with class components, and using both fetch and Axios. I figured if we did that, that's about as much as I can give you. That's just pure, um, that's just pure React stuff. All right. So do you have all this?
I do, yeah.
Okay. This was the clear right here, and as it says, it's designed to clear everything out. So it's grabbing that set movies. Well, again, that's going to be the array that's going to hold all the movie objects. It's setting that to nothing, an empty array. Our search term, basically, we don't have one anymore. Since we don't have one anymore, we're also removing it from local storage. All right. And we're taking that movie not found, that Boolean we have, and we're setting it equal to false. Again, we could set it to true or to false. It really doesn't matter. We don't even really have to do that, to be honest with you. So this line in here, what I'm saying is technically that line right there is optional. All right. All right. Then we've got our handle search term change, and that is the thing that is going to run basically when we make a change to our actual search box, the search that we have in there. All right. So when we're all done, it's basically going to be setting that search term for us to whatever we put in there. All right. And again, hopefully all of that makes sense. All right. Then we have to set our movie items. So this in here, this is for each record that we have in there, and that's why we've got a map that should be going through. So if we put in the Avengers, and there's 10 Avenger movies, let's just say, that should go through, and 10 times it should go through there, and it should include each individual movie poster. Underneath that, there should be an H2 tag that's got that movie's title, and underneath that, there should be a link, but it's a nav link, meaning that if it's clicked, we should be going over to that /movie IMDb. In other words, it should be going over to our details page for that individual movie. And this is another thing that's in here. Feel free to change this around any way you want. All right. But this is what's going to show for each movie. If you want the title above the image, etc., you can do that. I will tell you, because I got it, that if you don't put an alt tag in there, you are going to get a warning. It doesn't stop anything from working, but you'll get a warning. All right. Do you have all that stuff?
I do, yeah.
Does everything that's in there make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. All right. And then finally, we've got this. And I know we looked at it yesterday. I'm trying to be complete. And for anybody who's watching this on tape, I just want to make sure that you've got access to all the code that we've put in. That's all. All right. So what we're returning is right in here. This is the end of the routine right there. But again, we've got movie list, and this is going to, again, so this is going to be what we're returning right here. This is what's going to be on the top of of your screen when you first start out. It's that picture I crudely threw together in Paint yesterday. So you're going to have a text box, all right, and it'll say search before it, and after it, it'll have two buttons, one that says search and one that says clear. When you click the search, it'll call fetch movies and pass to that the search term that you put in. When you click the clear one, it'll call the clear all routine. All right. This should be showing every movie item. That movie items right there is what we got when we did this. So when we mapped our way through there to look for everything, that should be finding it. All right. And then we print it out here. It could technically be empty. Again, I told you that example yesterday. If we search for Harry Potter, there's not going to be anything there. But if we search for Harry Potter, then this movie not found will be true. So it'll print underneath there an H1 tag, and maybe H1's too big. I don't know. But like I said, not being able to get output, I don't know what this looks like. And if the movie was found, there's nothing to print out. So we set it to no. Then we export the movie list, and that's it. All right. Does what we did in there make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. But again, it's you can't run it and get output. I can't run it and get output. So yeah, it might make sense, but there could be errors in there that neither one of us know about. All right, so let's go to the details page because I don't think we did this one yesterday. Again, not super long, about 30 lines at the top, and I'll keep this here and I'll keep it nice and slow. All right. But at the top, we're again importing use state and use effect from React. And then we begin our functional component. This, as it says there, is going to be our movie details, which I call the movie details. So I've got the movie details, set the movie details, and again, you'll see that's an empty object. That's not an array because that's just one movie's details. And each movie was put inside of its own JSON object. So that's what we're showing right there. All right. And for use effect, it needs the props. And what this is, all right, is we are passing in IMDb ID from inside of here. All right. From right there. See that with that nav link? Movie.imdb ID. That we're passing there in that nav link. That's what's getting passed to here. And again, hopefully that makes sense. Then we're calling fetch movie details by ID, and we're passing it that ID. I'm going to give you some time in case you need to key all this in. All right. But then we'll look at the thing starting with line 11. Let me know when you got the first 10 lines worth in, and I'll move it down. You have those first 10 lines put in there?
Yeah, I just finished it.
Okay. So this is our fetch by ID, so we have to pass in the ID, and you'll notice that the URL has changed. Previously, we had S equal, and it was the movie name. Now we already know that movie name, so it's I equal with that IMDb ID and our API key. And you can see the fetch, all right, that's in there. So let me know when you're down to line 20.
Okay, I'm done.
All right. And then just so you know, I'm gonna go back to the site for a second. There's a reason and I'm doing that. All right, let me grab this. I know I'm gonna get that error. I'm gonna fix it right now. So, oops, I don't want that one. Want that one. Okay, let me grab and put in my key. So this is the information that you get back, all right, for each one of these. And you can see there's a lot of, I mean, this is I'm sorry, this is the one when we get everything, all right? But if I grab one of these, I'm going to grab this here and show you the other one. So that's everything. So right now, the only thing that I am showing from here on each page is the poster and the title. All right. And the poster I'm getting from there, as you can see, and the title, is right here. All right. Now, with that said, I'm going to go back here again and grab the other example. And that is, yeah, let's try that one. All right. All right. And here, here, there we go. All right. All right. I'm hoping I get output now. There. Okay. So I'm about to show you what I put in there. Now, the reason I took all that time to do this is all the stuff you have. You're going to decide for each individual movie when you bring it up. Not only are you going to take that page and format it using the CSS, but you're going to decide what stuff that's in here you want to put in. All right, that's what I'm telling you. And so just so you see it, what I put in here is right there. I only put in the title, the plot, the director, and the year it was released. You could put in whatever you want to put in. All right, but part of the way you're going to be graded on this is basically, how professional looking you make it look. All right. That's why yesterday I recommended that you go out either to Boot Swatch or someplace else and bring in a bootstrap theme. All right. To make this look nicer. You can also develop your own theme if you'd rather do that. All right. Or you can just use Bootstrap and not bring in a theme. All right. I mean, if you go out to Bootstrap itself, they've got plenty of examples out there if you go out and look. I know there's card examples, etc. So you can use one of those if you want to. And again, finally, you can feel free to change around any of the code that I put in here. All right. I'm putting this out there so people have a starting point. But I'm really hoping that once mine runs where I get output, that when you do yours, it looks nothing like mine. All right. I want each one of these to have their own individual look and feel. So again, you'll notice I put all these in paragraph tags. Same kind of way I did it in the weather app. If you decide you want some of those to be in an H, maybe one in an H3 and one in an H4 or whatever, that's fine. Maybe you want the plot, maybe you don't. Maybe rather than the director, you want who starred in the movie. I don't care. All right. You're all smart enough to know I don't want 6,000 things in there, but you figure out what you should put in there. So other than that, John, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to just start researching this thing to see if I can get if I can get output. And once I find it, I'm going to send everybody an email because if there's something that I didn't tell you to do that I should have, I want everybody to know. All right. Do you have all this stuff that's in here right now?
I do, yeah.
Okay. But again, if I go back, okay, if I go back here into here, come on, and I clear, all right, and I do my NPX minus kill port. There it is. NPX kill minus port 3000. All right, so if I go out and do all that, then if I go back in, all right, and I go back to this weather app, I think this was the one that I had that worked. I'm not positive, but I think it is. All right, and I go back in there and I bring that up. All right, and I do my NPM start on here. And again, you've seen this already. It's not formatted. It's not pretty. It's not much of anything. But if I do come in here and I put in Wentzville, it works. The reason I'm showing you that is the only thing that really is different from here as opposed to what we did in the other one is we added React Router DOM. So I want to start researching React Router DOM and see if there's a problem with version 6. And if there is, we can retrofit back and look at, and use version 5 if that'll work better. All right. I don't know. All right. So hopefully what I just said made at least a little bit of sense. But until I get some output, there's not much more I'm going to be able to say or do about this. So I'm going to research this right now. And I'm also going to take a look at what you said about GitHub Desktop and any problems with GitHub Desktop and React. If you would, though, please, John, try doing it the way that I showed you at the beginning of class. In other words, just do it from your Git bash here and from your command line and see if it works. All right. And, at least if that does, you've got something you can use. All right. Because if it does, then hopefully what you can do then is you can go back and do it that way for your BMI calculator app and then put it out there and make sure that I can see it and then I'll look at it and see if I can figure out why you're not getting an output. Does all that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And then,
Okay,
do you have like, are you gonna send out like the homework for that's due like Thursday?
let's do Thursday.
Or
What,
don't isn't like the JavaScript BMI calculator and the
that, that first React assignment, you mean?
yeah.
Okay, well, let's see what we had on there for a date. I thought I sent it out, but I will, sure. So let me go out and grab it. Let's see. This thing, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
All right. And what I think I'm gonna do is I will, but I think I'm gonna move it to Sunday. I don't want people to spend their extra time working on this stuff. All right, but you know, I said 11:10, and that's this Thursday. Let's just make it 11:13. All right. But yes, I'll save this right now. So file, save as. I'm going to save it right to the desktop. I don't think it's there, but I'm going to put it on the desktop. And I will email this out. I mean, literally right now. All right. And if I find out anything, please email me and let me know with that BMI thing if it works so I can take a look at it. All right. And that might not be the best solution for you, but it's a solution. All right. And then I'll take a look at what you got. All right. Okay, then I'll talk to you probably on Monday. Again, I'm going to be emailing people constantly if I find out I'm missing anything or I made any mistakes or I did whatever. But until then, I'm just going to, again, I will do this right now. And let me bring that in. Make sure it's the right one. Okay. So you now have that sent out to you. I don't even know if you're still on, John, but that's been sent out. Okay, thanks.